Friday with Mansfield today. Welcome to it. And as usual on a Friday, that means we go motoring. And that's courtesy of our mate, Siggy Woodley. How's it, Siggy? Are you well?
How's it, Jim? Always good to see you, mate. Always good to see you.
Now, we've been threatening to do this show for quite a while now. And every week I say to you, you know what we must do next week, Siggy? We must do car insurance. And you go, great idea, Jim.
And then eventually we find someone who can help us.
Well, no, the problem is that we both end up forgetting about it. And we...
No, don't say both of us. Hey, I don't know why I'm always dragged into your bullshit, you know? I'm always dragged into your BS.
No, what we did is, speaking of dragging people in, we got hold of the CEO of Smart Short 2020 in the form of Andrew Penny, who joins us on the show today. Andrew, nice to have you with us on Mansfield today. Welcome. And just give us a brief overview so people know who you are and where you guys come from, where you guys fit into the insurance industry as a whole.
Good morning, guys. SmartSure is not an insurer. We're a broker platform where we service the needs of a number of independent brokerages, and then we then place the business on various platforms with respective insurers on their behalf. So that's the background.
Okay. Now, why is it important? It sounds like a stupid question, but it's got to be posed as the opening question. Why is it so important to have car insurance?
Sure. Well, it's actually a need. I mean, it can be potentially financially disastrous if you should end up in an accident without insurance, and if you are liable and there are third parties that have claims against you, or on the other side of the coin is if your vehicle is written off and you still committed to the financial institution for a couple of R100,000, but there's no value in your vehicle. So look, it all comes down really to the financial peace of mind, really.
Andrew, I got to ask, and I don't have the numbers on hand, but I think it's scarily high, the number of vehicles that are running on our roads without insurance.
Yeah, I don't have the stats. I've read various reports that are as high as 80%. So I think comfortably sort of 65% upwards is the feedback that we get. And I think if you drive around and you notice how many high-value, in particular high-value vehicles, are driving around with existing damage or cracked windscreens or the like, then you can basically, you know that vehicle is not insured, because if you were, you would go and get that crack in the windscreen replaced. And these are high-value vehicles. You know, you can understand the low value where there's an affordability issue potentially, but it's scary how many are not insured.
Yeah, you know, I'd like there to be a law to enforce insurance on every motor vehicle on the road, but I guess that's just a pipe dream for me. Anyway, what I was going to ask you, sorry, Andrew, you were saying?
No, I say it would be ideal in the ideal world, as some other countries impose it, but probably quite difficult for us to get that right in this place.
Yeah. Andrew, the one thing I've got to ask is, how does third-party insurance work? Where do you get it? What is it? How does it function? Is it part of the road accident fund? What is the deal with third-party insurance?
Okay, third-party insurance is insurance that you would elect to take. It's the cheapest form of insurance. So it's on the other scale of the comprehensive, where your vehicle is insured. So third party literally gives you peace of mind that if you are liable for damages to property or another person or other vehicles, then that insurance would kick in and would compensate. So you have that peace of mind. The next step up would be third party fire and theft, which would then include theft and fire damage to your vehicle, but no accidental damage.
So that's perfect. So if I run into Jerome's R2 million car and I don't have full comprehensive cover, he'll be covered anyway. You know, all the damage to his car will be covered by. That's awesome.
Correct.
So that's something you should look at, if as a car owner, if you can't afford comprehensive cover.
I would say so. As a worst case scenario, definitely. I mean, you can't know up front what you may be liable for if you were the cause of an accident. So very definitely. And it's not expensive.
Okay, now let's just get on to the expensive insurance, as you put it. I own a 4x4 vehicle and I want to take it, I want to go across to the Botswana. Does my insurance cover me in that regard? My general insurance that I've taken, or do I need to take a specialized insurance?
Look, Sagi, comprehensive insurance is pretty consistent throughout the industry. You have to notify your insurer once you're taking a vehicle across the border. Talking about 4x4s and the like, there are certain insurance packages that cater specifically for the needs of those adventure tourist overlanders and what have you, where if your vehicle was broken down in the northern part of Botswana or in Zambia, you would need to get your vehicle back to South Africa to be repaired, or so you need to have the right insurance in place. And there are packages available that do cover that repatriation, would cover you if you were using your vehicle on a sand dune, potentially in Namibia, whereas most general insurance wouldn't. So, I think it's a case of horses for courses. If you know you're going to be using your vehicle out of the norm, then make sure that you get the right insurance and make sure your policy is adequate for your needs.
Yeah, and anything can happen, and when it is going to happen, it is going to happen in the worst possible place. I remember years and years ago, I was up, we'd just come down from Western Zambia and come into Namibia, and we're going to Botswana, and we were in Katima Mulilo, and I had been wearing a pair of shorts. It was summer. I had been swimming in dams and that where when we were away, and there must have been some sand in my one pocket, and I put my keys in my pocket, and when I got to the vehicle and put my key into the vehicle, it wouldn't turn. And what had happened was that literally a grain of sand had got into that little spirally part of the key
and damaged.
That was stuck. And it took us, we first had to find a garage. We had to borrow a compressor from them. We had to get the compressor to the car. We had to strip down the whole, all of the
steering covers,
steering covers and that. And we had to try and blow this little piece of sand out of there to eventually get it right, because the nearest place that could fix that vehicle was in Windhoek, which is a hell of a long way from Katima Mulilo, and would have cost me a fortune on a flatbed.
Okay, Andrew, but the real story is he was so wet, he used the wrong key and damaged the ignition. So we'd all like to believe this sand in the key story kind of thing, all right? But he just forced the wrong key in there. And so that's the real story.
Andrew, but I mean, a lot of people, how do you get people out of the mindset? Because a lot of people just see any form of insurance
as bad, yes.
Whether it's motor insurance or home insurance or anything, as a grudge purchase. How do you get them out of that mindset?
That's a very hard one, because I think we all generally have that mindset. It's a cost that once paid for the month and there hasn't been a claim, it's money gone. At the end of the day, the mindset is well, you've got to look at what potential financial repercussions there could be for you if things go wrong. And yes, you could to an extent self-insure, and that's where sort of third-party insurance comes into play, where you say, well, if something happens to my vehicle, I'll bear the brunt. It's not a high-value vehicle, or I'll take it on the chin. But it's really daft to be driving the roads, and with the caliber of drivers we're seeing on our roads now, not to have any insurance is madness, to be honest. So it's a grudge, yes, but it's a need, and hence the need to shop around and get the right cover, and obviously as affordable as possible.
Okay. Andrew, just one last thing.
Yes, he's always like
I
this,
just
Andrew.
got one more thing to ask.
Yeah.
Is that I've heard this story so many times. Oh, they just repudiated my claim without investigating. I mean, that is a myth, right? Because I don't think that ever happens. I like to believe that you'd send your investigators out, investigate the situation, and then repudiate a claim. Am I right, wrong? Oh,
Look, the industry is not here to repudiate claims. They're here to pay claims and pay valid claims. So if you haven't contravened or breached the conditions of your policy, you weren't under the influence, you had a valid license, and so on and
your
so
car
forth.
was roadworthy.
There's no reason to repudiate a claim if you've ticked the boxes. It's when there's breach or contravention, and there are processes to follow. If your claim's been repudiated, you take it to the ombudsman. The ombudsman is extremely fair and generally really takes into account the man in the street. So and his rulings are final. So it's a bit of a myth that insurers are out there to repudiate claims. I must say, we don't see many repudiations, but then stick to what you need to do. Don't breach the conditions and drive within the rules of the law.
Andrew Penny, the CEO of Smart Short 2020. Thank you very much, Andrew, for taking time out to join us on Mansfield today. And that wraps it up, Siggy. So we'll have to,
As usual,
sit down and try and work out what we're doing next week, and then
Yeah.
find out that neither of us have organized anything.
yes, and that key story I loved. I love that key story. Wow.
You bugger. Siggy Woodley, there's only one of him. Thank goodness. We'll catch you again next Friday, right here on Mansfield Today. Cheers, guys.